in 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the KD Ratio podcast. I'm joined by
Dylan
And Kyle, Jesus.
and I am William. Gentlemen, ladies, all the folks of the like. How we doing?
Great.
I mean, I'm doing good, but it's hard to match that level. That was.
Listen, we're bringing all the levels because we took some time off. I know we mentioned it last time.
Are we bringing this to an atomic level?
Ooh.
We're bringing it to a Barbie level.
Whoa.
Just kidding, we didn't see Barbie.
We didn't see Barbie. But let's talk about it. Chris Nolan has his newest film out, Oppenheimer.
And we saw
We
it.
saw it in
Opening day.
IMAX, opening day.
How's his track record? Is it still amazing?
Drum roll.
Yes.
No. I'm just kidding.
It's one of my favorite films by him. I don't know if it beats Interstellar for me. I think that's in a league of its own. Just I like the genre of Interstellar better, but this is an awesome film. I recommend anybody go see it. But your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was a great movie. Interstellar is still top for me, and I think it'll always be the top just because for me it's the perfect mixture of music and the movie because I love Hans Zimmer and that soundtrack. But for a person me who doesn't necessarily like biopics, like I'm not like a huge fan of them, I really enjoyed this. This one was really good. I thought the acting was great. I thought for the story it told it really well and enough to keep me engaged. Like if you pull back and you think about it, it's a very like science heavy story, but it keeps you engaged the whole time with a bunch of other stuff. So I would highly recommend it. I would say, especially, I think it's an important movie for people to see at least once, just to understand the message the movie gives. Because I do think, and I give credit to the writers and Christopher Nolan, I really enjoyed how they portrayed Oppenheimer and the weight of the decision of creating the nuclear bomb. So I really enjoyed how respectfully they handled it and how they kind of approached it. But yeah, I'd definitely recommend you go out and see it. What do you think, Kyle?
100%. I think this is some of the best writing in a Christopher Nolan film.
Murph!
Murph! It's also, hands down, I think this is the best he's ever gotten out of his actors in a Christopher Nolan film. The performances, I'd be surprised if we not only get a best actor out of this at the Oscars, but I would even argue best supporting actor out of Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. The movie itself, I mean, isn't my favorite Christopher Nolan film. Like you guys said, it's not my favorite Christopher Nolan film, but that's because his repertoire is just so insanely good. It's in my top 5 though of Christopher Nolan films, and he has enough now to where even that is hard to pick a top 5 with just Christopher Nolan films at this point. But I'm with you guys. I think Interstellar is still up there. It's really close between that and Inception for me. But this 3-hour film, to me, it felt like an hour and a half at the most. There was never a dull moment. It was always moving. The subject matter was handled with care, like you said, Dylan. And it was done in a way that it kept you enthralled into a story that I think a lot of people, including myself, knew but didn't really know. I think it wasn't told. It wasn't this fleshed out ever in any medium that Oppenheimer's ever been in. It was never done to this level. Highly recommend watching this film in theaters. IMAX if you can. I think you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you waited to watch this on your TV at home.
Now, I do hope, one thing I do have to say is, I think, and this happens with every Christopher Nolan movie, I don't know why his sound mixing is always off in theaters. He needs somebody to fix that, or somebody review it for him.
At this point in time, it feels like it has to be a stylistic choice.
Yeah,
It's not one I agree with, but it has to be something he's aware of. because
Yeah.
he's been doing this since The Dark Knight Rises.
So that's one warning when you go to see it. The soundtrack is a little bit louder than the words sometimes. Soundtrack's great, but it gets some points it's a little hard to hear what they're saying because the soundtrack is so grand and going off, and then it's like, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I totally understood that.
It doesn't help that they're not talking like actors or performers either. They're talking like people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like they're having conversations with each other that is very realistic in the sense that when you talk to somebody, you're not talking for a crowd. You're talking to that person. And so it gets drowned out, I think, really easily. So yeah, I mean, just expect that, like any Christopher Nolan film, this one might take a couple viewings before you really like grasp everything.
But yeah, I mean, even then, I would say I was able to understand 98% of the movie, and you can pick up what they said by context alone. But just I wanted to add that warning that that's still an issue.
Yeah.
It's weird that it's interesting that I didn't really pay attention and notice that. I always feel like in a movie there's always like some dialogue that maybe it's the accent that's tripping you up or
Every single one of his movies
yeah.
has that complaint.
It's not as bad as Tenet.
Tenet was bad.
Tenet, the sound mixing was really bad.
I
in
think
Tenet.
though that one they did fix. That one he actually put out a fix to the audio or something like that.
Did he?
Yeah, but I don't think any of the others he's ever fixed.
And even then, I still really like Tenet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not enough to really discredit him in any way for me. But
I saw Tenet in the drive-in theaters, which the audio is already challenged there. That was an impossible movie to understand. I remember going on Reddit afterwards, and I'm like, I started seeing graphs and charts of people making like to track the timelines, and I'm like, okay, it was unique. I'm moving on. It's
I
not
love
my
that
favorite.
movie.
It wasn't my favorite.
Really?
No.
I thought it was great. I love time travel like that, and I like the feeling you get when it clicks and you're like,
yeah,
I understand now.
It's a super cool concept, and I love it from like an originality standpoint. And the film production quality was amazing, but I think, yeah, I mean, just seeing it in drive-ins and
Yeah, that's probably not the best
it
experience.
just being so kind of wild and unhinged and not being able to hear everything, like I was like, okay, all right. My wife was like sleeping the whole time during it. I'm like, okay, this is something else. So, well, yeah, I mean, definitely recommend it to anybody that wants to see it. Barbie beat it out though.
I
in
think
terms of box
we knew that was
office.
going to happen. For
Mhm.
one, this is Christopher Nolan's first rated R film in long ass time. 20 years since he's done a rated R film.
And it's not a subject matter a lot of people like. Biopics. What you guys, I'll get your opinion here, but in my opinion, I do think they're the smaller audience than regular film, like an action adventure film.
Absolutely. I don't think that biopics are really what you consider box office smashes,
Mhm.
you know.
You mean Fast and Furious isn't a biopic?
Well, it actually happened. Yeah.
Vin Diesel really did that.
The power of family is
Powerful.
powerful.
Ohana, baby.
So that, yeah, it's a biopic. It's rated R, and it's coming out the same time as Barbie, which I think was always going to be more appealing to the masses. Not knocking Barbie in any way. I haven't seen it yet. I heard that it's good, so I'm not going to talk down to that movie. But this is just, I think, on a different level, and it's different. And it's, I don't think it's really I don't know if it's a movie for everybody. I think I can imagine a lot of people that would probably get really bored in this movie.
Mhm.
So you just have to be ready for that.
We've had a couple pretty amazing films though come out this summer, like or this year. Asteroid City. I haven't seen that yet, but I have wanted to. Have you heard of it?
Is it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not seen it yet.
You seen the trailers though
Yeah.
for it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was like kind of a cool movie to do, and then obviously Oppenheimer, and then Barbie, and so it's like, oh, there's a lot of actually like decent films.
Are you a big
out.
fan of Wes?
Wes?
Wes Craven? Is that his last name? What's his last
Wes
name?
Craven?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he a director or something?
You don't know who he is?
No.
You're
Should I?
Yes. Well, just because. So Asteroid City, that is 100% him. Like, have you seen Fantastic Mr. Fox?
No.
The Aquatic Life of Steve Zissou.
No. Nightmare on Elm Street. All the screams.
Not Wes Craven. Oh.
I was like, Wes Craven did Asteroid City?
What's the guy that did Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson.
Oh, I know. Okay, I know that.
So, but you've never seen Fantastic Mr. Fox?
No.
Or any of his movies?
Mm-mm.
Asteroid City is him. Like, he has a very, very specific style, and that is 100% the movie. So.
Okay. I don't know if I'm looking at all his movies. I haven't seen any one of those. So.
They're all really good. Fantastic Mr. Fox is my recommendation.
But I heard Asteroid City was really good. I haven't seen it.
You should watch his old ones. They're good.
Grand Budapest. I feel like I might have watched
That one's all right. Fantastic Mr. Fox is the best, in my opinion. And then Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou is pretty good too. Moonrise Kingdom, pretty good.
But like, I feel like we have some decent films out there that are
Some original
unique.
ones.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
originals. Like, obviously Barbie's not necessily original, but I hear it's like
It
a fresh
kind of
take.
is. Yeah.
I mean, it's taking an IP and a brand and promoting it to the masses. So, I mean, when we went to the theater, there was a bunch of people dressed up for Barbie, and then
Barbenheimer.
they were following it up with the Oppenheimer, and that's a hell of a movie day.
3 hours, and then I think Barbie's like
It's
two and a half.
Yeah, it seems like all movies are 2.5
So
anymore.
5.5 hour.
Hell yeah, baby.
Everyone I know that has actually done the Barbenheimer thing, like, really regretted it. They were like, "Why did I do this to myself?
Too many movies.
It's too much."
I'd be able to do it.
I come from watching Lord of the Rings in a day, extended
Yes,
edition,
true.
We should have done it, guys.
14 hours.
Fuck.
Yeah. Well, the problem was there was no options for Oppenheimer on release day,
But
that
see,
worked
so we
with
could have
Barbie.
put Barbie before.
but it wouldn't have worked. You weren't
Maybe.
off in time. It's on you.
Maybe.
Let's get into gaming here. Armored Core.
Armored Core
There's
6.
been a lot of buzz about it.
They just let a bunch of influencers and online personalities.
A bunch of
Play
people
it.
who's ever expressed interest in a Souls game, they
Yes.
like all got invites to play.
to play it, and they played quite a bit. They played, I think, 11 chapters, or they had access to 11 chapters. I have no clue how many there are in the game. From what I've watched, nobody ever said how many or asked. But there's a bunch of videos out there on YouTube. I watched Vati videos, and then I watched the official Konami one. I don't know did you guys watch those?
I watched Vati videos and Iron Pineapple. is the
Okay.
other guy.
What did you watch, Billy? Did you
I
watch it?
watched whatever you guys sent in the link.
Okay. But I'm so my expectations are met. That's exactly what I thought it was going to look like. So I'm not disappointed. I'm kind of excited to give it a try just because I do hope.
Have people been disappointed?
No, but I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe the Elden Ring community thought it was going to be more like Elden Ring or something.
I mean, they've never shied away of
Yeah.
showing what it really is, but I do think that From Software kind of backed themselves into a corner that they are so like synonymous with
Defined by.
like the Souls like,
Mhm.
you know, that I don't know that a lot of fans that they won over with like Elden Ring who are really hyped about this game are actually going to be satisfied when they play it, because it's not, I mean, they got to understand that it's not the same thing by any
Mhm.
means.
Yeah, I mean, my main excitement for it is because I used to play those mech games and I had fun with them, and I'm just excited to play it again, but like new, like, you know, a current generation mech game, because I really liked them when I was younger, and so I'm excited to see the potential now of our hardware and our technology for a mech game, because I think we need more of those. It's an underdeveloped area for sure, in my opinion. Mechs are cool. Why don't we have them?
Last one that came out was MechWarrior 5, and it wasn't really good.
Yeah, and if you look at it, it was kind of swept under the rug. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I want big deal mech games.
Ooh.
They had the thing that makes me mad, right? You guys want to hear grinds my
Please.
gears. No, like,
You
so
got my
they
tea.
released a Gundam Overwatch, basically. Like, it's Gundam, but, it's like a team-based shooter. They didn't really market it at all. They shut down the servers because nobody played it. But it's like, that sounds so much cooler to me than Overwatch. It just me personally. I would rather play as a bunch of different robots, especially from something Gundam has a huge history and lineup to pull from. But they didn't care about it to market it, to do anything. So, of course, it didn't get popular. And it's like, that's stupid. I think it was only around for like a year before they shut down the servers.
Wow. And who published that game?
Probably Konami.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not like traditionally into mech games because I don't want to feel like I'm just driving around like a robot or a tank. I want to feel athletic and nimble, and this game has great movement, and it has Vadi's video had breakdowns of like how some of the systems and stuff work, and it looks like it's got interesting build diversity.
What I would counter that with, Billy, or not counter it with, but what I want to add is I want more mech games that take full advantage of what mechs are. We've gotten a very specific type of mech game forever.
100%.
And so
big square block.
Yeah.
With 2 legs.
Slides around.
Exactly.
If you go watch...
Break the mold.
If you watch anime, and that's like the one area where mechs are doing good. You have all types of different shapes and sizes, and they're agile. They run. They fight with swords. They do cool shit. But no, we just get this shooter, and so that's where my frustration comes with mech games. It's like, why do we only get this one subset of mech games? It's like, you make Uncharted but with mechs. I don't know, that wouldn't work, but
The one thing I will say that looks really exciting about this game for me is the boss fights. All the boss fights I've seen looks like a ton of fun. I'll be excited. I'm optimistic about this. I'm not letting myself get hyped to Elden Ring levels of hype or how hyped we've been in the past about certain games. But FromSoftware has earned my attention always, and so that's what I'm taking this with.
Yeah, and I would say I don't think I'll ever get hyped for this one. I'm excited to play it.
Do we have a release date?
It's coming out the end of August.
Oh, okay.
Yes, real soon.
Wow.
But with my excitement, I'm pretty sure I know exactly what it's going to be like. And so I know it's not going to be amazing, or I'm ready for it to overwhelm my expectations or exceed my expectations. Yeah. My expectations are set pretty low, but I'm still excited to play it.
Huh. That's interesting. I don't really have any excitement for this type of game because I've never historically liked it. So this is definitely one of those games I'm going to have to see first before I jump headfirst into it. What about Spider-Man for PS5? Spider-Man 2?
You ready for this? We're going to get
the
rest of the podcast.
Take over the conversation, gentlemen.
Looks amazing. So they did we even talk about the...
did you just come everywhere?
I did.
Yeah.
Did we talk about the reveal? I don't think we did we?
Not in the podcast.
No.
No.
But, man, they've shown off a lot of stuff around Spider-Man. They had a gameplay reveal where we got to see the black suit, and it looks just amazing. That one I am hyped for, and I know that it'll pay off. Like, I have full faith that the game is going to be good.
What studio makes it?
Insomniac.
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
It honestly, it looks. If you're a Spider-Man fan, now's a really good time to be a Spider-Man fan.
Yes.
We got Spider-Verse, we got the Spider-Man games, we got all the movies coming out. Like, if you don't like Spider-Man, I can understand why that's annoying to certain people in this room.
Billy.
But if you like Spider-Man, you're just coming.
Yes.
all the time. Because
every 15 fucking minutes you get something brand new.
And they're all so good.
All so good. I mean, so they showed off the black suit. They showed off web wings. They showed off that you can play as both Miles and Peter. And
they showed the technical prowess of fully utilizing the PS5. Like, how quickly they render New York is insane because you go so fast in that game.
You go through it's Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan now?
Yeah, it's like
So Queens and Manhattan were
it's
added.
the original map from the first 2018 Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
Plus they added Queens and
Brooklyn or Manhattan, which I don't know.
um
East Coast.
I don't know enough about New York to
Yeah.
know, but there's 2 different like sub cities that they added. Queens is one of them.
You mean boroughs?
Sure.
Just
Sure.
the 5 boroughs of New York.
You're talking to small town kids.
West Coast.
Represent.
Represent. But I was blown away.
Bay.
I was blown away by the gameplay, and I am so excited to see it.
Venom looks good, man.
Oh,
Venom looks real good.
and then they came out with that reveal, right? And they showed the symbiote suit. They showed how you can trade between Miles and Peter. And then recently, really recently, they released an official. Was it just a trailer? I don't know. What was it?
It was a story trailer.
Story trailer. There you go. And that one we got to actually see Venom, and we got to see some of the story. The story looked good.
Which is more than likely a Harry Osborn Venom,
Yes.
which is different. But I'm okay with that.
Who did you ever play Ultimate Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Was that Harry?
No, it's still Eddie Brock.
That was still Eddie.
Yeah, but in that universe, Eddie and Peter were friends.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and their parents like worked together or something
That's
like
right.
that.
So it'll be interesting to see, especially what they show with the story. I was really excited. They changed all the face models, and that's all the Reddit can fucking talk about is how they think everybody looks ugly because of face models. They're such
Honestly,
crybabies.
I thought they all looked better.
They do. They look better, but people hate change.
They kept Peter's new face, which people were upset about the change. But what I like is they bulked him up, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like they made him look like a little bit more respectable than the original change was.
And a great point for any people who are still upset about the face change, I would add, is there was never any issue with this with the Arkham games. And if you look at Batman's face in all 3 Arkham games, they're different each time, and he looks like an abomination
Yeah.
each game. So it's
I think
stupid.
it's because Batman's face in the Arkham games
was hidden the whole
was
time.
very minimal
Yeah.
exposure versus the Spider-Man games. There's a lot of Peter in the game. And it is hard to argue against the first model. He was so much better. the first face model.
I'm gonna disagree with you there.
You can.
I
You're
think
wrong,
his-
but you can.
Wow, I'm wrong. It's an opinion.
That's an opinion.
I like his new face.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think this will be fun to put in a recording, Kyle. What are our predictions for the story?
For the story,
Yeah.
I think that Kraven the Hunter,
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's going to be the primary villain throughout the whole game.
Okay.
With Harry and Peter's story being like a secondary focus.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that Harry is going to become Venom after Peter
Tears off the black
his
suit.
whole black suit crisis thing that has been done plenty of times before.
Uh-huh.
And then he's going to be like the surprise, quote unquote, surprise, like final act villain. But I do think that the majority of the game is going to focus on Kraven.
So
I hope so. Kraven deserves his due.
yeah, and I think you're onto something there because I think Kraven. You could even use Venom and Kraven. Like Kraven decides to go after Venom, and
I could even see Venom and Peter teaming up,
Yeah,
being like uneasy allies,
exactly. Do you think Miles and Peter are gonna fight?
I think that Miles and Peter are going to fight, and I think that Miles is going to win. And it's going to be a fight around getting the black suit off of him or something.
So there's a consensus online, and I'm really interested in reading this because I don't know, it's interesting to read, but so they think big part of the fan base wants Peter to beat the shit out of Miles the first time because they don't want Peter to be weak, I guess.
Well, I mean, if it's a black suit Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
it's a symbiote Spider-Man, he would be a lot stronger than Miles.
Yeah. So they want him to beat Miles up the first time, and then the second, like maybe it's 2 fights. The second fight is when Peter is fighting within himself too to take off the suit, and Miles is like fighting him to help him take it off.
I want Peter hold him against the wall, and I want Miles to say, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing." Just recreate the scene from the movie.
Spider-Verse. But I do kind of agree, because I think it is a big point that Peter is the one to take off the black suit. So I do hope they handle that.
Yeah, I mean that's his own triumph, right?
Yeah.
I think that now that you say that, it would lose some of the, it would lose something if he wasn't the one to break free.
But if they
Like,
have,
how famous is that ripping scene that Peter, when he's ripping off the symbiote
in the bell tower?
Yeah, in the bell tower, and he's trying to get up. Like, that's so good.
So I think what the people on Reddit said is a good idea, where they could have two fights, one where it's a clean sweep, and then the other, Peter is trying to take it off, and Miles is like helping him, and it's like a fight in that case. And so that way it's still Peter wanting to take it off, but the whole tagline of the game is be better together. So
Yeah, I want so badly for Peter to yell, "Shocker!"
I'm sure they're gonna put that in.
I'll follow you to the ends of the earth.
How do you think they'll handle Endgame with Peter? Like,
honestly, a part of me kind of hopes that he gets to somehow keep the symbiote.
well, that's the thing, is how are they going to handle that? Because I'm sure it has a whole upgrade tree. It has costumes. So they'll just revert it back.
They can change the story to whatever they want,
Yeah?
because they're changing Venom altogether, right?
They could have Peter stay symbiote.
They could
That'd
have
be
Peter
weird.
stay symbiote. They could have him maybe develop a different version or something. Antivenom. Like, I don't know. Maybe they'll just, you lose it in the story, you lose it in the game, and that is what it is.
Then they give it to you after you beat the game or
and
something.
after you beat the game, it's a special skin you can use, but it's not canon,
I wonder how.
Wonder how.
But looks great. Looks amazing. We're super hyped to get it. And that comes out September? No, October.
October.
October. So that one's real soon as well. And I'm going to dedicate some time to that, baby.
If you guys were a tenth as passionate about creating content for this podcast as you are about Spider-Man, this would be...
We'd be
the
doing
Joe
this for a
Rogan
living by
experience.
now. This would be the Joe Rogan experience. This would be the Road Jogan experience.
That's our off-brand name for it.
I think we can get passionate about a lot of things.
Yeah.
You just don't
Elden
like
Ring.
Spider-Man.
Dude, I could talk about Elden Ring for
We-
days.
ex-
All three
Exactly.
of us did.
We
For
did.
day. I could still talk about
For
Elden Ring.
days.
So I want to get into the last bit of this podcast with like what games we're playing right now, because we've been playing kind of a wide breadth of games,
Yeah.
especially together.
Testing them out.
And I'm curious as to your guys' thoughts.
Have
on,
you guys heard of Fortnite?
I know. What is that?
I just started playing it.
Whoa.
It's a lot of fun.
It
You should
is.
check it out. If
We so we finally downloaded Fortnite. I didn't want to play it because of the whole build mechanic, and they finally added like a permanent no build playlist. And I convinced these two boys here to play it with me, and we've been having some fun with it.
Good times have been had.
We've won a lot, which I think contributes a lot to that fun as well.
it's like, it definitely gives me like those feelings. Not quite on the same level, but I get those same kind of feelings back when we were really into Warzone.
Yes.
I can feel it like kind of pulling me in a little bit. I think the fact that we won so much right off the bat does take away that hype from me. Like, it was cool when we were winning a bunch of matches, but I don't ever remember feeling like when you get a win in Warzone,
You felt like you earned
it just felt different. It just felt like that was something that I overcame. This one felt like
We were playing
I
bots.
must have been playing mostly bots and little kids, because
Well,
that didn't.
Here's the thing I'll counter that with, Kyle, is maybe we just haven't reached the point in the skill-based matchmaking. We're still moving up because we all started brand new. So maybe it's still like, you guys are little babies. Your level, you just started the game. You can't. No. So maybe eventually we'll get the pro gamers, because I know there's pro Fortnite. I know there's way better people than we were fighting.
Oh, absolutely. There had to be.
But out of 100,000 people, playing that one playlist, that's a lot.
That
We're
or
smacking them up.
maybe we're just so elite now.
I think we are
We just
pro gamers.
We won 6 of 7 games.
yeah, we played 7 games and we won 6. And just for clarification, none of us have any kind of real experience with Fortnite ever.
No, that was like me and Billy's second time playing. Kyle's first time.
I have only played Fortnite once before that, and that was way back in the day when they first introduced Thanos as a character. And I played it for a grand total of like 10 minutes because I was like, that might be kind of fun. And I got bored and I stopped playing, and I never even completed a full match.
Yeah, but the no build has been a lot of fun.
It is. And I mean, it's amazing the amount of stuff. And you can also look at it and see, like, not necessarily where Warzone went wrong, but where Fortnite is doing it right versus Warzone.
Yeah, Warzone, I mean, their big thing was we have 150 players. Remember when they increased it to 250 for a little bit?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, its wins are much harder to come by just by nature of mathematics, but because we're in like 100-player lobbies, but it still feels good nonetheless. And I think we're definitely playing against bots right now.
Well, and even then, and you know, besides the people you're playing against, just the diversity of stuff, like the weapons, the guns, the cars, the different maneuverability, like the time rifts you can go in that pop you into the air.
Fortnite is like 18 games in one.
Yeah,
I mean, there's like the only up game mode. There's you can ride a dinosaur in the main battle royale. They have
they have NPCs you can hire.
dude, yeah. There's so much random crap that is in that game that other game modes and stuff. No wonder this game like always wins that like reinventing or like best live service game because it just is constantly reinventing itself. I mean, you could play Optimus Prime, Venom, basic operator
Rick and Morty.
skins, Thanos. I mean, you can literally play as anybody.
Insane amount of characters you could play as. It's crazy the amount of IP they have in their
I know.
game. I don't know how they do it.
Real music. It's the first
Real
time you ever hear
music.
Yeah.
real music in any
Yeah.
game.
I
It's
think
wild.
it felt intuitive when I was playing it too, because I think of my Warzone history. Like, even though in one aspect it's a completely different game, in another it just feels like you already kind of know what to do because of playing Warzone. Like,
Yeah.
it just, you're like, oh, okay, this
There's a
makes
familiarity
sense.
with
This
battle
is
royales.
what, yeah, like, and I think that's the battle royale thing, and I think that makes sense for a lot of battle royales, but like, for instance, Apex, that didn't feel as intuitive to me. That didn't feel like, oh, I played a lot of Warzone, so I'm good at Apex. That felt
Yeah.
like not the same. This felt like my Warzone, like, quote unquote skills, not like I was ever that skilled, but my Warzone history helped out a lot in Fortnite versus I don't think it helped me in Apex at all.
Apex
Exactly.
is a totally different game, dude. That the movement in that game is so fundamental; it's impossible to get good at. Like you have to put so much effort and energy into just the movement. And I tried doing that, and I felt like I was losing my mechanics of shooting and rotations and just playing the game. It was so much effort to get good in that game, and I just couldn't. I sucked so bad, world class bad at that game. What we also played the game that just went free to play, which is
Naraka.
Blade Point, right?
Yes.
What'd you guys think?
So I'll start off. I'll say that I thought it was fun, but for me personally, there's a mixture of complexity to simpleness that a game has to have, and that one is way too complex for me. I get intimidated by it, and it makes me not want to play it. I don't know why. It's just some.
I got that vibe from you when we were playing it.
Yeah, it's like it's too much. Like, I understand that, you know, that's great for some people because it gives them so much content to go into. But for me, it's just like, this is a lot. And it's kind of, you know, I'm not liking it.
The learning curve is heavy.
Yes.
I'm almost in the same boat as you. I do feel like it's not easy to just walk into and play that game. I feel like it's very complex. It definitely did not feel intuitive the way that Fortnite did. But for me, it's intriguing enough to where between that and Fortnite, I'll play any game with you guys and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that I'm a little more interested in right
Oh.
now. Is actually that, but I got the vibes from you guys that wasn't the
Billy, I
case.
think, really liked it.
I had a fucking blast playing that game. I played as Viper Ning, and she was like this massive crowd controlling hardcore chick, dude. It was so much fun playing her because I had so much control over other players and their movement, and I liked how the game handled crowd control and stuns and effects. Like if you silence somebody, they had a silence tag over their head, and so you could see how long they had before their skills came back up. And there was a depth to the combat that I actually appreciate. If I'm going to dedicate into a game like that, I want there to be like, I press 3 buttons and I'm as good as the next Neanderthal pressing 3 buttons. Like, I don't, that's not interesting to me. Like, there's so many systems. Like, the tutorial was so overwhelming that I was like, where the hell do I even start? And I started watching a couple guides of like simple mechanics like parrying or combos and how movement works. And I found myself sort of falling in love with the game. The systems go very deep, and it's not a very popular game, at least in the West. And so there's not a lot of content on it, like guide wise, and a lot of the content is like kind of misguided because some of it starts with like movement, and I don't know if that's the best place to start. I think just basic combat mechanics is probably the best place to start because the shit that like you watch, like I watched a couple professional matches of people going back and forth and playing it, and it's extremely high level. There's no button spamming. There's a lot of camera movement and stuff, which I typically don't like. I don't want the game to be like a bout of just like who can flick their camera the best. That's not gameplay to me. Which that definitely is a part of this game at the higher end, which is a little uninteresting, but I mean that's at the very, very pinnacle. But the combat itself is very fun, and like when you're able to pull off team wipes and ganks and a lot of cool creative stuff, like I really enjoyed our team fights. I thought we had great communication. My alt as Viper is this like party wide CC for 5 seconds, so you basically can at least party wipe one character with those 5 seconds. And there's a lot of creative ways to use that, and also creative ways to counter that. So there was a depth there that I liked. Holy shit, this game is monetization heavy. There's so many different currencies and so many different ways to spend money in the game. If you buy it on PC, which is free on PC, you don't get any of the boosts to your account.
Like the console
I
players
got nothing.
did? Yeah.
Console players or Game Pass players, they start with 300 hero coins, which allows them to purchase 3 heroes. I think that's fantastic. That's actually very awesome considering there's only like 12, 15 heroes in this game. So it's you could definitely like see a couple guides and get to play different characters that you want to play. I thought the parry system, I thought the indications of like what the combat was going around. Sometimes I've seen games like this where they try to get creative and deep with their combat systems, and then it just becomes so heavy in animation that you actually really can't make out what's going on because everything just has this crazy animation and so much on-screen effects that you can't make out what the hell is actually going on.
Yeah.
And so I didn't feel like that with this game. When you break down the combat and you see like, okay, if they strike you with a white attack, that's a common attack. If it's a blue, it's a special. If it's a red, they're parrying. There's like you start to diagnose it and you can pick up on that style of combat. And it makes it for very interesting fights. I thought it was a very fantastic free-to-play game. Monetization heavy as it should be because it's free to play. I mean, that's the sacrifice you make buying a game like or downloading a game like that. But overall, my enjoyment was very high. I had a lot of fun. I thought the map was really interesting. I loved their spawn mechanics of where you can pick. You see where other people are going, and you can piggyback on where they're going so that it's a hot drop. It was very clear which zones had extra or better loot. The loot was a bit much. It wasn't crazy overwhelming, but there was a few things where I was like, okay, that's not really that intuitive. Um, but I feel like, with 50 to 100 hours in this game, you could get very confident in how to play your character, how to handle certain types of situations, and I think you could be very competent at this game. Play
It
at a
definitely
decent
feels
level.
like more of a commitment than
Yes.
Fortnite. It feels like
shit, yeah.
like Fortnite feels like you could play it, not play it for a long time, and then play it again, and you feel okay.
But that's Fortnite's thing.
Yeah.
That's what they're aiming for. Yeah.
And so Fortnite is definitely a lot more approachable. And if you're just trying to have a good time, I can see why you'd lean more towards a BR like Fortnite versus Naraka Blade Point. Feels like when you're playing it, it feels like, oh man, I need to dedicate at least 8 hours to this today to feel like I kind of know what I'm doing until like you said 50 100 hours in, you're like, okay, now
I'm a master.
I'm a master. But so yeah, I mean that's a lot for sure. Especially it's a melee based battle royale, so it's not just as simple as point and shoot. It's every character has like unique sort of way of doing things. It's definitely a little bit more quote unquote hardcore as far as battle royales go.
Yeah. And I would say mainly the overwhelming part doesn't come as much from the combat, it's the menus. That's my biggest pet peeve in a game is when there's 16 menus and it's like just simplify it.
Yeah, you've got your character, and then you could choose your weapons or your skills, not your weapons, your skills and your ultimate. And then you go in and they have a customization where you got the glyphs, but then you've got 6 glyphs per glyph type. You can level up each one, and then those go into a wheel that then you level up just by playing the character. And you're like, very quickly you go, whoa,
Yeah.
I'm overwhelmed.
Plus, there's 3 different stores. There's different like special events going on. There's chests that you get, but you can't open because they open at certain times. You have like 20 different currencies that you don't know what they quite do. And to me, that's too much. Like that's the beauty of like Warzone or Fortnite is I do like complex combat, but the beauty of that is that when I go in to play those games, there's a very simple progression system that's very easy for me to understand and pick up, but it's still deep. Like in Warzone, you upgrade each weapon. Fortnite doesn't really have they have no progression system basically besides the battle pass.
Right.
But like Warzone, you level up your favorite guns. It gets different attachments. It gets, it changes the gameplay based on those guns. And to me, that's a lot more simple than what Naraka was doing. But I had fun with it. The menu weirds me out on games when it's too big.
It's hard not to feel good when you get as many wins as we did.
Exactly.
In Fortnite too. It is hard not to feel like, damn, I am just a fucking G.
I'm a god.
Like even if that we were playing with just little kids and bots.
Yeah.
But it just, it's hard not to have fun when you're winning.
Exactly. I mean, we won a couple Naraka games.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Billy won our first one together, right?
Yep, and I won my first one by myself, which it might have been all bots, but there was definitely, I think at least, there was a couple real players that I definitely came across.
Well, it does say, this one tells you for sure. I didn't see anything like this, a notification in Fortnite, but Naraka tells you straight up. It says, by the way, when you start playing games, you're going to be put in lobbies with bots. As you get better, less and less bots will be added as you learn the game.
I actually think that's awesome, and it might even be a weakness to... I know it sucks to kill... Maybe it doesn't work in shooters, but like Warzone, it was so demoralizing to... Well, the queues took forever, right?
Yeah.
And then you get into a game, and it was a 90-second pre-lobby, and then you finally load in. You take this long, slow plane. You go drop to your location. You get your guns. You get your loadout. You come across the first team, and you die. And you're like, fuck me, dude. That was 20 minutes of all prep work, and then you dead. You don't have anything. With bots, I don't know. Maybe your people are really bad at this game, but you can beat them.
Mm-hmm.
It's your design to beat them. It feels good. You're like,
Yeah.
I got a couple kills. I could loot their bodies. I could go roll it into something else, and all of a sudden you're in the last 2 or 3 circles and you're like, oh shit, all right, here we go.
And with bots, I think the benefit of having them is it helps you feel more engaged during the game, during the match, right? Because if it's all real people, we experience this with Warzone. If it's all real people, a lot of them tend to just bunker up or hide.
I mean, we did
We
that.
did that. So
Yeah.
it's like versus you have bots that they're out there trying to hunt you down, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
So it keeps you more engaged in the game. It makes you active and having more fun, in my opinion. Bunkering is fun. We had some
That's
great
why I think
conversations, but
Warzone for me got its most fun when Rebirth Island first came out. Because it still felt like classic Warzone, but it was much more fast paced and much more forgiving to that team wipe initially because there was like an instant comeback until a certain amount of time or something like. I forget how it worked exactly, but I do remember thinking like it wasn't the end of the world if you wiped right off the bat. Like you could come back in and keep
The longer
going.
the match progressed, the longer the timer got to respawn, and then they cut it off entirely.
That's what it was. I liked that mechanic because that solved the problem of, wiping on the very first fight and then losing the gulag, and then you're like, okay, well that was just a waste of time.
what is your guys' opinions? Because in Fortnite, I actually don't mind the weight of losing because of how fast the queue is.
It's so fast.
Yeah.
And it's like if we wipe in the beginning, that's fine. We just join another game in like 5 seconds.
You also get to ready up, and then you're spectating the person that just killed you.
Yeah.
And so that's something to do versus Warzone. It just goes into a void. You're back at the lobby. You queue up for 3 minutes. You load in for 2 minutes.
It has
and then
terrible
you're in a 90-second lobby.
cross-system communication. So
Yes.
there's whole minutes where you can't even talk to your lobby.
You get a preload, a video loading animation of a plane.
Yeah.
And then you're on this plane for a minute. You're floating down for 30 seconds. And it's literally like an 8 to 10 minute turnaround time between games. And if you don't get any kills, you get squad wiped off rip. One person comes back from the gulag. You wait for them to loot up. They die right before they buy back at the buy. And you're just like, all right, that was fun. 15 minutes. Here, let's do it again.
And we had a lot of fun with
absolutely.
Warzone. But yeah, looking back, there's just a lot of games that do that better.
And
Warzone.
it makes me sad.
Like, and this game has the spirit. Rocket Blade Point has the spirit thing where so if you have one person alive still, right? No, or can you be fully white? I don't know how it works.
I don't know.
Because I didn't even get to come back as a spirit, which pissed me off. But like you become a spirit and you go to like you have excellent mobility and you're invisible to the world for all I know. And then you go and you respawn and it gives you a basic set of stuff so you can immediately be effective if you're really good. And you're rolling again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it makes me sad that Warzone, because I had really good times with you guys, and I wish they would have innovated more or done something to make it to where we didn't burn out.
I think
on it.
what finally did us in was when they did that massive 1980s update. And then when we played it and we realized
Nothing changed.
It's the
Yeah.
exact same game, and they hyped it up for so long.
Well, hackers were becoming more and more of
And
an
hackers
issue.
became a thing where
And-
there was constantly someone under the map. There was
Yeah.
constantly someone way out in the gas not dying.
Yeah.
Or they would just aimbot you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know what it was, but I enjoyed the game until they. I don't know. It was really just. I liked it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think I just outgrew it, and it got a little stale for me. But the updates never really bothered me too much. But the hacking, the cheating was so prevalent that it was like I can't do this anymore.
I got
That's
mad
what
that
got
they
me.
never tried to fix any of the common complaints that people had. Like in the beginning, it was like, okay, that's fine. They'll work on that. They'll fix that
Never.
eventually. Never
They'll
did.
work on it.
Like
They'll work.
something as simple as like they never worked on the optimization. The fact that it takes like almost 300 gigs to play that game,
Unacceptable.
it's unexceptable. That's
You look at
ridiculous.
Fortnite, you downloaded it in a night, in a like hour period.
And it would have been a lot quicker if my PS I had a connection issue going on, and I still downloaded that quicker than.
And that's Fortnite. Like that has so much more than Warzone.
there's
content-wise.
there's
unacceptable.
no excuse
Yeah.
for a game to take up so much space that you can only have maybe one other game.
Around Warzone, I want to ask what out of those 3 games, we'll add Apex to it too. Aesthetically, Billy, you probably don't care about this at all. Aesthetically, what is your favorite? Between Warzone, Fortnite, Naraka, and Apex.
Oh, and you're including Naraka, huh?
Yeah.
For what type of game though? Like a shooter?
I would
Or
just say for you.
Like, if you preferred to look at a game, which one do you prefer to look at the most?
Yeah.
probably Warzone. I like the military.
I'm based in realism, I think. I like Warzone too.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the same thing. That's one of the main points with us playing Fortnite and Naraka that I miss is it felt really good to be like tactical with the guns and like it just felt cool versus Fortnite. I'm a fucking Venom cartoon. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And Naraka, it's like I'm a ninja and somehow I'm equipping this magic armor,
Yeah.
But in Fortnite, it was cool because when you equip the plates, your guy would, it
In
felt,
Warzone.
Yeah, in Warzone,
Yeah, do you like in fighting, you're actually like loading in the
the plates,
the plates and
So, I would agree with you guys there. I like the aesthetic of Warzone.
there's always this little part of me that is always kind of thinking about giving it another shot,
We could
In its current state,
but
no,
it's been so long.
Caldera is. Have you ever played Caldera?
no.
It's basically a mountain of a map, and it's all like uphill fights, and people really hate it.
I'm surprised they haven't gone back to Verdansk.
Dude, I don't know what the fuck they're waiting for. It would bring back the entire community.
If there was a return to Verdansk, I probably would download it.
Well, Warzone 2 is totally shit the bed. That game nowhere even close in terms of popularity with Warzone 1. Now obviously Warzone 1 had COVID to support with it, so there's that.
But also, it was
Um,
Call of Duty, Battle Royale, which at that time, the Battle Royale field wasn't, it was fresh, new, it was,
it was the game mode
Yeah.
at that time. Fortnite was king of the world. Warzone tried to claim that throne for a little bit. But I mean, battle royales have fallen out of favor a little bit, but I actually would argue that that's because there hasn't been that many great games to drop in that genre.
well, and I would even argue further that the games that did it good showed how much better they could do it than other ones,
Mhm.
and then it's like creates this disparity or disparity between.
Well, I mean, Battlefield tried to do it with their Hazard or whatever. Oh God, I
That
was so excited
garbage
for
one.
it. I played it. Literally, I think my playtime in that game is 3 minutes. I was like, "What the fuck am I?" It was so bad. I backed out and never played it again.
You in Battlefield 2042? I didn't know you actually bought it.
I don't. I think I played the beta that was free for
Oh,
everybody.
yeah, that's right.
I literally played 3 minutes and I said, "What is this?"
That game was a
Goodbye.
roller coaster for me. I never bought it, but I went from
Their
beyond
marketing
I
campaign.
went beyond from beyond hyped to just kind of lukewarm to I have no interest in buying that game all in the course of like a month.
Dude,
Like it was
I had
so wild.
I had like a friend of a friend. He was like, "Dude, I want to get a team going. I really want to grind this game and get competitive." And he's like, "I want you on the team." Blah blah. And I'm like, "All right, man, I'm down. Like if it's good." Neither one of us was playing a week after a week of release. I didn't even play at release, so I'm not even sure he bought the game. And that's how bad that whole thing, dude. What a disaster that is. Less than like 2,000 people playing that game at any time on Steam.
Yeah.
Or whatever, whoever EA is that Origin, wherever I think they
Origin.
released on Steam too. So maybe that skews the numbers. Maybe they have it on Origin too, and most people that played it through there. But still, regardless, flopped hard.
Yeah.
And then Warzone 2 flopped. Warzone 1 Caldera, the new map, flopped. And then they've just done stupid things. They like get rid of game modes that people like. Like they'll just cycle out. They'll have solos, trios, and quads, but not duos. And you're just like, why the fuck do I not have it like this?
It
There's
was
hundreds
weird.
of thousands of people playing this.
It was weird in Warzone. Like randomly, they would just get rid of modes.
Yeah.
Like we'd have like trios, and we'd be like, "All right, cool." And then one day we'd wake up and be like, "Okay, we have to play quads, I guess, because trios isn't a thing anymore." Like I never understood why they did that. Why they're trying to keep things fresh, but like I don't get why they had to get rid of game modes. That
Yeah,
made no
you look
sense
at
to me.
Fortnite, they're like now they were guilty of that in the past too. But now they're just like, fuck it. Here's all the game modes.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I mean, they showed like technically they pulled off a miracle. I mean, the PS4 was able to play that 250 person game mode or 240 person game
It
mode.
played it well too.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Huh.
You know, so like technically they could have a huge map and play this, like execute it on a good game. All you have to do is tease Verdansk and you'll have a surge of players back.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make a live service game, make a live service game. Like why did Warzone 2 even need to come out? Like just you already have a live service game. Like do you not like World of Warcraft 2 is not a thing.
There's no Fortnite too.
Yeah, I mean they just keep evolving the game.
Yeah.
Let people play the game.
And look, Fortnite, you know, people always argue graphics. Fortnite did a whole engine change, and they're still just Fortnite.
Well, Epic Games, their Fortnite is their way of marketing
Unreal Engine.
Unreal
5.
Engine. Thank you. I couldn't
But
get the damn name.
they didn't say Fortnite 2 for Unreal Engine 5. No, they're just like, yeah, we're just an update.
Yeah.
We're gonna push.
Exactly. We're gonna show you this, and it's flawless of a game, dude. It's
Yeah.
so flawless. But anyway,
I one more game I wanted to talk about, and I'm gonna spend these moments trying to sell you guys on this game.
I'm sold. If it's
All
with
right.
you, I'm sold.
It's the thing is unless
Genshin
you have
Impact?
Game Pass, it's not free. So you need Game Pass. But
buy
it's
it.
called Exoprimal. I think it'd be really fun to play with you guys. It is a game about robot. Like you have a mech suit, not like Armored Core, more like Iron Man. You have like a Iron Man mech suit, and you kill dinosaurs. And there's a lot of dinosaurs, like a bunch. So you kill like
Like where the extinction event is that what you're?
no, it's a fucking wild game story wise. Like in the future, there's storms that just poop out dinosaurs, and so they have like weather forecasts of today is going to be a dino-rific day, or you know whatever, and then a bunch of dinos show up, and so we're like a task force dedicated to killing them. There's a whole nother story that goes on that I did not expect. It has an AI, and you know it explains why you're able to play with all these other people. But it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I think we would have a lot of fun together because it's the closest thing it is to, and it's not that close, but would be like Overwatch, as in you have roles.
Team play roles.
Yeah, so you have like support, attack, or assault, and tank, right? You have those classes. You can be whoever you want, but it works best when you have a mixture. And you can either play PvE or PvP. Sorry, it's PvPvE.
Player versus environment.
Yes. And so how it works is there's a bunch of different modes. So in the generic PvE mode, it's still competition. So you're competing against another squad, and you're trying to basically get to the end of the map the fastest. So what you'll do is you go to this one area, you have to kill a certain amount of velociraptors and a certain amount of pterodactyls. Then you go to the next area, you have to kill a certain amount of triceratops. And then
This game sounds like if you asked a 7-year-old to build a game,
exactly
this is what they would do.
exactly.
Sounds like Ark Unleashed.
So then you get to the end, and it gives you the ability to take over a dinosaur, go invade their place, and blah blah blah. And then they start to get really crazy with it, where there's like a raid, and it throws the teams together. I haven't gotten to that point. I didn't play it that much, but I do think it's fun. And I wish they would make it free to play for everyone, because I don't know if I'd recommend spending money on it, but I would say for free on the Game Pass, it's definitely worth looking at, especially just for like mindlessly killing dinosaurs is a lot of fun.
Damn.
How would Kyle play?
It is crossplay.
So he would have to buy it on PS5.
I have a PC.
Oh.
And I have Game Pass.
So he could get.
Oh.
Yeah.
How do you play it? On your Xbox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I downloaded Game Pass. But so this is the thing I think is really cool about it, right? So in the match, you can switch mechs on the fly. There's like a 5-second cooldown.
Like you can switch characters?
Yeah. So you could go from the tank to the healer like that.
Depending on like what phase of the fight you're in, you could just swap.
Yeah, if you're like, you know what, right now we don't need a healer, we need damage. You switch out, and then you're that class. And
how's the combat? I don't know about it being a Capcom game. Is it like a fighting style combat?
so it's a shooter with abilities. So it's like, again, it's close to like Overwatch in like you have a L1, an R1, an ultimate, and then like a movement ability. And so, like for example, let's see.
And you're playing whatever the class has to offer, basically. Is
Yeah.
there any way to design the class you're in a custom way? Like, do you get rank points for playing a certain character more, and then you
Yeah.
can build into that?
So you can upgrade them, and you get a little bit different abilities from them as you rank them up. And like for example, there's a close range combat class. One of his abilities is he dashes into him and he pushes them, right, and he knocks people back. Another is he does a huge kick, and everything like in the kick, as long as they're light enough, they fly up in the air with him. And so that's just an example of his abilities there. But you also have like a special weapon to where you can either heal people. If you aren't a healing class, you can still heal people, or you can use like a drill to do single damage or a laser to do line damage. So I think it's worth looking at least if we can get it for free.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Because I had a lot of fun with it, and I think it was worth at least playing a little bit.
Yeah, on Game Pass, it's worth it.
Yeah. Like, if it was a free-to-play game, I would say, definitely. But it's not, and I don't know. And what I can say is, in my opinion...
$99.
$99.
That's how much I would
1,000.
pay for this.
In my opinion, I think it handles the classes a little bit better than Overwatch, but I've never been a huge fan of Overwatch. I played a little bit of it, but I like this class system better just because I liked how they meshed. It felt like you could assist, but it wasn't essential. Like you could survive without a healer.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So you don't necessarily need the Holy Trinity.
No.
Tank, damage, DPS, and then healer.
Like, especially in some of the matches I'd play, a lot of times there's like a boss fight against a giant like T-Rex or something. And
So you could self-sustain with a lot of the classes.
yeah, and so what a lot of people will do is when they get to the last boss fight, you just do tank or assault. Everybody does that. Take out the healer just so you can deal damage as fast as you can.
Mm-hmm. DPS is the way.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Well, we'll have to check it out then.
Yeah.
Dylan, where can people find us?
They can find us on Instagram, YouTube, as well as any podcast listening platform
Yeah.
under the KD Ratio Podcast.
Yeah.
Your place for all things nerd.
What?
Woo.
Awesome. All right, boys. Remember, with a good KD, you get the dub.
Bye, guys.